Good evening as we welcome you to Game 3 of the Olyroos Challenge. This match coming to you live from the WACA in Perth with a huge crowd on hand for what will be a most historic contest. And of course it's historic already from an Australian perspective with 2 victories on the trot by the Olyroos and 2 straight victories against Brazil do not grow on trees. It's good evening again to our studio panellist Nick Theodorakopoulos, coach of the Wollongong Wolves, and Brisbane striker Andy Harper. Good evening, gentlemen.
Yes.
Before we discuss the prospects tonight, let's catch up quickly with the latest as we cross live to the WACA and to Mike Olyroos.
Yes, Les, we are at the WACA. This is the traditional home of cricket here in Western Australia. But tonight it should be what promises to be a memorable game of football between the Olyroos and Brazil, Game 3 of the Olyroos Challenge. Now, the crowd, as you say, is building up. They're expecting about 15,000 here. It's a beautiful night here in Western Australia. Something like 22 degrees. Very, very good for world football. Now, the main talking point over the last few days has been the cricket pitch. Let's have a close look at it now. Now, it has had a lot of cricket being played over the summer, and since last Monday when the Sheffield Shield final took place, the groundsmen here have done wonderful work to try and soften it and put it into place. It is still pretty parched, still pretty dry, and I'll tell you what, if it was me, I wouldn't be doing any slide tackles, but I have spoken to both Raul Blanco and the Brazilian coach Barroso, and they're pretty happy with the conditions, despite the fact that it is a little bit dry here in the middle. As far as the outside of the field is concerned, it's A1 perfect. Well, I have with me now, Les, I have with me Robbie Dunn, a former Socceroo international and really an icon here in Western Australia. And Robbie, I guess you're looking forward very much to this game.
Oh, it's going to be a great night. The people here are really looking forward to it, and we'd love to see Australia wrap it up with a 3-0 win.
What about the Perth Glory folk? Are they going to come out here and support the Olyroos? The Olyroos?
Oh, they certainly are. I mean, the British support, the Italian support, the multicultural support in Perth is fantastic. It's shown in the Glory home games, and they're here tonight. It's great.
Robbie, you've seen the pitch. Do you have any concerns with it?
Well, just watching the boys warm up, it's starting to cut up very, very quickly. It runs away from each side on the halfway line and then runs down towards goal, so it's going to bounce a hell of a lot. The boys will really have to get to it before it bounces.
And I guess given a good crowd tonight, it may be a stepping stone for more internationals here in the West. I guess you're starved as far as internationals are concerned.
Well, West Australians are, and I think we've proved in the past if you give them quality games, they'll come out and watch. So hopefully tonight will be the start of many things to happen or to come for them.
All right, Robbie, thanks a lot. Well, Les, there you have it. The crowd is building, the music's on, the teams are out. Let's go back to you now.
Thank you, Michael Olyroos. Let's have a quick comment from the boys before we cross back for the anthems. Andy, quite a number of changes for both sides, 4 for the Australians and 2 for the Brazilians, both of them forced upon them. What do you think?
Well, from the Australian perspective, which is possibly what we're most interested in, it's good to see Steve Laybutt get a run. We talked about him the other night, and I'm sure he'll do well. Jason Culina also got a sniff in the last 20 or 30 minutes and was a very positive inclusion.
Good to see him start.
Yeah, certainly. Michael Curcija as well, who scored a couple of goals and now gets a run on start. And I've just lost the other one, the fourth.
Tansel Bove,
who came in on the left-hand side the other night and made an immediate impact. So he'll give us that bit of balance that we didn't possibly have when Jacob Burns was playing a little out of position. But it's a good lineup, and I'm sure the boys will go well.
Your comments on that, Nick?
My comments would be, from a coach's perspective, actually, Tonino Barroso would be feeling a little bit of pressure, Les. He's obviously lost the first 2 games. I don't think he'd want to go back to Brazil 3-0 down in a series, I can assure you.
I think I will expect the Brazilians to come out and be the biggest threat out of the 3 games tonight, because they have acclimatised now. They know the Australians a bit better. I think we can expect a very, very tough game for the Aussies.
Yeah, I think in the last 10 minutes of the Adelaide game, Brazil really clicked into gear and they started looking like the threatening Brazilian offensive unit that we're used to. And I think they'll carry that into tonight. But they have to be careful they don't try and get too physically intimidating, because they've been very leaky from set pieces in defence, and the Australians might play the route 1 tonight to try and put that pressure back on them.
OK, Andy and Nick, thank you. Let's go to the national anthems at the WACA, and then our commentators will be Paul Williams and Johnny Warren.
And now the Australian national anthem, ladies and gentlemen.
Has freshened up the lineup considerably with 4 new faces. Steve Labert is the only newcomer not to have seen some action so far. He replaces suspended Simon Colosimo. Tansel Beza on the left flank and Jason Culina in midfield add plenty of guile to the side, while Michael Curcija's 2 goals off the bench have been recognised. Keeper Danny Milosevic had substantial bruising after Adelaide, but he plays tonight. Vince Grella has been in outstanding form for the Olyroos in the series so far. And that holding role in the centre of midfield, allowing Nick Rizzo and tonight Jason Culina to operate just outside of him. Well, Brazil, a late change for them is the axing of Fernando, the number 10, a surprise there. He goes to the bench to allow Edu to start. Edberto, who scored in the first game, is suspended. Rocha steps in for him, while in defence, Alessandro takes over at right back for the injured Felipe Alvim. Marco Antonio, with 2 goals, has his eye on the top goal scorers award. Ferrugem, the captain, is one player hoping for an improvement in form. Well, the crowd is still coming in to the Wacker here, traditionally the home of cricket, of course. As Mike Tamalaris mentioned, the Sheffield Shield champions, the Western Warriors, won the Sheffield Shield final here a week ago. Tremendous victory for them, but tonight the stadium has been transformed for the World Game. The referee for this great international is Brett Hugo from New South Wales. The last major international game of a sort here was back in 1996 when Perth Glory faced Sampdoria of Italy. They packed it out that night, and they're hoping that the Perth Glory crowds will come along and pack it out tonight. Anticipated 14 to 18,000 crowd in tonight. There's still some seats spare, but there are still plenty of people outside the stadium. But the match must go on, and Brett Hugo kicks off, and it's Brazil once again playing in the away strip of blue, and instantly Marco Antonio is put to the ground by Vince Grella. The Brazilians have plenty of pride, and they're playing for it all here, of course. Australia have won the series by 2-0. And the question is whether they can produce a clean sweep against Brazil. What a marvellous start to the Olympic campaign that would be. Johnny Warren, good evening.
Evening, Paul. Yeah, it's going to be the best we will see from Brazil, I believe, tonight. They have been here now the 10 days. They are fully acclimatised. There are no excuses, and they've lost 2 in a row. Someone posed the question the other day, how long since Brazil have lost twice in a row, and they certainly don't want to make it 3. But some interesting changes for them. Alessandro, who comes in at right full-back, normally plays on the left side for his club Flamengo. And the change with the number 10, Fernando, who has been disappointing, and in all South American teams you look to the number 10, Fernando has been disappointing, and it will be interesting to see how Edu fills that role tonight.
Well, the previous 2 games between these 2 sides, in particular the match in Adelaide, were quite physical encounters. I was talking to the Brazilian coach, Tonino Barroso, during the week, and He said that because his side was still underprepared, that they felt they had to match Australia physically, not just on skill, which is a surprising result. Grella puts the ball over. Rizzo on the left-hand side. Good cross from him. Fabio struggling. Luis Claudio away. Another promising beginning for Australia. Less than 2 minutes into the match, and already the Brazilian goalkeeper has had to make a save. Emerton. Brazil forward. Shot on goal here, pulled it wide. Matuzalem, who's probably been the pick of the crop so far for Brazil. One of the youngest in the side at just 17 years of age, plays for Vitória. It's his Brazilian club, but here's this earlier cross by Rizzo. It had Fabio in all kinds of trouble at the back post. It was Michael Curcija waiting there. Bet the likes of Curcija, Culina, Beza, Labert, all coming in tonight, really want to make a big impression on Real Blanco. So important for these players that they get in the side early. Marco Antonio swinging over the cross. Bove. It's over 2 years away, and that's a foul. And Rizzo. Well, I'm sure there's no one out there collecting statistics on players who have been fouled the most over the series, but Rizzo must be leading that particular competition by a mile. And it's the first one of the night.
It's a bit of a tribute, isn't it?
It's a compliment, really,
Brazil, and to be the most fouled player. But let's hope Brazil, look, they are too good at playing the game to resort. I was quite disappointed with their approach in Adelaide, and I do put it down to off-the-field instructions. Brazil don't need to play like that. They're a team, a nation we all admire. Let them just play their game, show us what they can do, and leave the physical stuff, and stop blaming the referee. Just do what they do best, which is play the game.
Jason Culina, well, he changes direction so quickly. He was too quick for his opponents there, and it showed in the challenge. Grella, great spraying it wide to Beza on the left. South Melbourne player who normally plays at sweeper for his club, but very familiar with the left side of midfield. That's where he started his career. Seems to have been around an awful long time. As with Frank Arrock initially at South Melbourne, he introduced him to Ericsson Cup football. Still only 19 years of age. But Rizzo fouled again. That's 2 and a yellow card. That's the number 13, Alessandro, the newcomer who's come in. A yellow card already. Antonio Barroso told me the other day the 2 players he was impressed most with in this Australian side were 7 and 8, as he passed on the message. Well, 7 is Brett Emerton, the captain, and 8 is Nick Rizzo, who's been fouled twice already. First yellow of the game going to Alessandro. He's caught him on the toe there, I think, more than anything, and he's gone off, Nick Rizzo, but he's almost ready to come back on. Free kick to Australia. Still, the crowd starts to come into the ground here, filling up the few spare seats that are left. The members' stand has a little bit of a gap in the front, but Grella is going forward here, takes the shot. Groundsman at the Wacker has been tipping water onto the cricket pitches, and there are 6 of them on the pitch here. Only one that's really hard, that's the main pitch. Been pouring water on them for the last day or so. Well, that's great work. And a goal kick in the end. A little bit unlucky there for Rizzo and Beza between them. Rodrigo. Santos. Ferragem comes short. Still can't get in the game though. The Brazilian captain has been struggling in this series to really assert his authority on games like we expect the Brazilian number 5 to do. Here's Edu, he's tripped. I'm not happy about it. Just from a personal perspective of the players, I'm sure they are playing for their own personal pride as well as a place in the Brazilian team. They're not used to losing. And Edu, who came on as a substitute in Adelaide and stunned Danny Milosevic with that free kick that lashed against the crossbar. Australia well aware of his capabilities from the set piece. Always some Brazilians in the crowd wherever they play. Australia on the back foot just for the moment. The free kick's been taken quickly, but it will have to be taken again. Now Grella will move out to cut out that little short ball. In fact, it's Michael Curcija who retreats. Matuzalem in, away by Bove on the volley. Minutes into the match here. There's no early goal this time. We saw in the first game when Brett Emerton had Australia 1 up by this stage. Sandro inside, loose ball, it'll be picked up by Bove, forward from the back. Flipped inside, Grella. Time to bring it down, spraying it out wide was the intention to Emerton, but Culina got in the way. Luis Claudio can't get there. Bove will for Australia. Oh, that's a dangerous ball. Milosevic out quickly. He's giving it straight to Edu. Well, a little bit of a let-off there for Australia. Good pressure from Marco Antonio. Milosevic with the kick straight to Edu. Poor clearance from him thanks to the pressure from Marco Antonio. Edu's shot was well off the mark though, but you can see what was behind his thinking. Culina in well, sliding to win the ball. Culina again. First touch is quite superb, and it's a great ball for Emerton. Pulled across, no one there for Australia. But again, the Olyroos have started the stronger of the two sides. A marvellous ball there from Jason Culina. Emerton on it to it like a flash and no one in the middle. Bove. Emerton. Culina out wide has been very busy. Jason Culina. This back to Culina. It's offside, but it was a well-weighted pass again by the young Sydney United midfielder. 17 years of age. The youngest in the squad, in fact the second youngest. Nick Carle is the youngest, he's 16. Gustavo looking to the referee for a free kick there after the challenge by Emerton. It wasn't forthcoming. Emerton again. Culina. Tansel. Zane. Lovely layoff. Oh, Rizzo's so close there to being through on goal. Once again, John, we're seeing the Australian side, they just look sharper than Brazil, and they've started strongly again, haven't they?
Yes, Brazil's problem is quite simply that if the number 5 in their team, the sweeper in front of the defence, and the number 10, the one who plays in behind the 2 strikers, is not performing, the team doesn't perform. That's quite simply their problem. That is Ferrugian, the captain, or the number 17, who plays that number 10 role in Adu. For Australia's part, I mean, I think that there's a lot more width on the left than there was the other night with Rizzo and Beza. But I think we need to have the distribution a little bit more to the right, because when Culina and Emerton become involved, we are a little bit more effective on the right side than in any other area of the park.
Grella effective in the centre, but giving away a free kick on that occasion. But Beza intercepted beautifully. Rizzo helping get back to the South Melbourne player. But Rizzo again. 2 natural left-footers on that left side now.
It is a better aspect of our game tonight than it was the other night. We were very lopsided, very little happened on the left, and it was all on the right. But tonight it has been spread more, with 2 naturally left-footed players playing there, Rizzo out of midfield and Beza from deep. I'm a great believer it's difficult for a right-sided player to play on the left, and conversely a left-sided player on the right, because it naturally reduces the width that you have, because the right-footed player will want to come in, and as a result it does reduce the width of the attacking movement.
Quickly, just a little bit too quickly for Curcija, who wasn't expecting it. He checked his run and stayed short for a square pass. All of the Brazilian players are home-based players. No overseas-based players in the squad. Australia have 3. Bove at sweeper, Milosevic at goal. Rizzo in midfield. Interesting developments over in England with Harry Kewell. George Graham, the manager of Leeds, is furious that Kewell is not allowed to play for Leeds United this weekend, because he's been suspended by FIFA for not coming back to play for Australia. So the hardline approach taken by Australia, and the ripples are being felt in England. I'm sure everyone who likes to look at the internet will be checking the team lineups on Monday to see if Kewell did get there. It's an easy one for the goalkeeper.
Well, George Graham can't be furious, really, can he? I mean, it's an international law, and Kewell was injured.
Emerton going through on goal. No one coming near him. Still Emerton! A finisher here, yes! With the run, Clayton Zane with the finish, and Australia once again have taken the lead.
The danger of Emerton. He's been paid the ultimate tribute that Gustavo has been assigned just to mark him, and the only question on that was, did Brett mean to pass that, or was it a shot at goal? But that's denied. Beautiful overlap.
Well, Brazil was so slow to close him down. Surprisingly, he
nowhere. Gustavo was nowhere. He's been assigned just to mark Emerton. A great tribute to have a Brazilian assigned to mark you only. And Gustavo was nowhere there. Nice ball through, putting Emerton through. And, every time he gets forward, there is danger for Brazil.
Labert, the Brisbane Strikers defender, into the lineup tonight. Labert and Blatsis, the 2 markers. They're both giants, well over 6'2". defence for Australia. Little Ralph Bove in between them, organising them. So takes it quickly. So again, to Labert. Grella can turn. Zane, Grella, Labert. Australia very patient in possession. Emerton's free on the right-hand side. Bove recognises that and picks him out beautifully. Emerton now on the gallop. It's a goal kick. Well, Brett Emerton outpaced everyone. Played it across the goal where Clayton Zane finished it off. Zane's second goal of the series, making him equal with Marco Antonio of Brazil, Michael Curcija of Australia. Rizzo with one next to his name as well with that penalty in Adelaide. Grella, Emerton in tons of room on the right-hand side. Beza in the same situation on the left. Rizzo, always so willing to take on his man. Let's just take another look at this goal. There is a question mark about offside. Emerton plays the ball across now.
It's not off. Certainly not off. Maybe we could question the intent, but that is to deny a great Australian move. Just back, we didn't have time to finish on the Kuhl business. I mean, it is an international law that players, when required by their countries, have to be released. Kuhl wasn't because of injury. Injury or not, he is not allowed to play for his club until this series is over, plus 5 days allowed for travelling. And Olympics are important for us, and Kuhl is very much an integral part of that.
As one supporter said to me, perhaps it will give his sore groin a few extra days rest. Sandro for Brazil. Straight to Bove.
But Australia handling everything well. We've commented a lot on the attacking prowess of the Australian team and creativity out of midfield, but credit too to the likes of Bove, Blatsis at the back, and Labert now coming in for Colosimo. I mean, they're very, very controlled on the ball. They're just playing it so cool and calm, under no threat at this stage. But Brazil, for their part, very disappointing for me. I did expect tonight to see the best of them, and quite frankly, they have shown us very, very little. We've seen nothing of an exceptional standard from them. We haven't seen one overlap from either fullback, which is an integral part of the Brazilian game, and Australia have just played them off the park in most respects.
They're doing so here again with Culina. Emerton's on the edge of the penalty area. Culina has now been closed down, but just look at the turn from him, so sharp. Emerton, good ball in. Zane was making his way into the penalty area. Marco Antonio just holding off Blatsis, a much bigger opponent. Sandro coming inside. Marco Antonio shadowed everywhere by Blatsis all the way up to the halfway line here. And the pressure has paid off. Brett Hugo's just not happy with something that's going on here, and he's talking to one of the Brazilian players. It's on. Culina, can he get onto it? He can. Jason Culina. As Rizzo going through the centre, still Culina. Good move this again, Australia right across. Fabio came off his line and gathered it well, but another clever move from the Olyroos, totally opening up their opponents.
And Culina again involved. I mean, what is really good about our boys is that they are just so arrogant in the nicest sense of the word, but very full of self-confidence on the ball, willing to try different things. And Culina's amongst the leaders in that respect. And we said before that Brazil a little bit disappointing on what we've seen so far in the series. And any Brazilian type football, amazingly, and perhaps not surprisingly, has come from Australia. They have been the ones to be creative, to involve that the modern game of the overlap and the support from behind. And Brazil so far, let's hope they can pick it up, because we all admire the way their nation plays the game, but so far from this Brazilian team we've seen very, very little of that.
Grella fouling his man. Free kick taken quickly. Edu through the centre for Brazil. So much pressure so quickly from the Olyroos. They really do work so hard when they haven't got the ball. Bove just waits, tidies up. Possession so far in the game has been shared. It's exactly 50% each. And Australia with that 1 goal advantage thanks to Clayton Zane. I saw both teams at training just recently in Perth, and they had similar training sessions, both concentrated on crossing and shooting an awful lot. But Australia, I must say, looked far sharper and far keener as well at the task at training to impress the respective coaches. It's a hunger for the success that is being reflected with the scoreline in the whole series so far. Little ball over the top. Zane is through. Clayton Zane on for a second. It's there. 2-0 Australia. Clayton Zane with his 3rd goal in the series.
Clayton Zane scores the 2nd goal for the Australian Olyroos. The score now, Australia 2, Brazil 0.
Brazil really are capitulating at the back now. Where were the defenders there?
Where were they?
Clayton Zane was
terrible defence, but that is to deny the opportunism of Zane and a splendid finish.
Well, Gustavo helped it on to Clayton Zane there, and there were no central defenders, and Zane took full advantage of that and just planted it past the goalkeeper. Helped on by the defender. Zane through on goal, and that is how to finish. There's talk of Clayton Zane going to the Northern Spirit next season, leaving Newcastle Breakers. Missed out on the under-20 World Cup squad in Malaysia last year. Just went out of favour with the coaches at the wrong time. Well and truly back in favour, and here he is again. Clayton Zane playing it across. Curcija, good shot, but it was blocked. Bove goes back to Blatsis. Blatsis' long ball from the back, which all started the move. It was Clayton Zane's finish and attack that finished it. Fairly straightforward goal, just the 2 players involved.
And on a hat-trick against Brazil. Clayton.
Mr. Salapaciti's got 4 against Argentina. Right, that's not bad going, but 3 against Brazil. He'd be happy with that on his CV for Europe.
Nice story to tell the grandchildren.
Yeah.
The way Brazil are defending, he's got a big chance of doing that.
Another player to be a little quiet for Brazil. The main disappointment was the number 10, Fernando, not playing tonight. Dropped just before this game. Curcija. Gustavo. Forward. Oh, great work from Bove. Just losing out now that the ball goes back to Rodrigo. And Mike Tomalaris has some news from the touchlines.
Well, not so much news, Paul, but the coach from the Brazilian side, Barroso, I don't think he can believe what he's seeing just as much as the rest of us. He's been up on his feet more than once, twice, 3 times, and I'll tell you what, he is showing a lot of frustration. And like the rest of us, he just can't believe he's seeing a Brazilian national team here.
Coming forward now, and the shot is high and wide, in keeping with their recent attempts at goal. That one came from Rocha, a 19-year-old from Flamengo. There is an Australian player down at the moment. Looks like Vince Grella. A change for Brazil. It's the number 14, Gaviao, coming on. There's no Brazilian down, but there is an Australian down. All the Australian substitutes are warming up just in case there's any problems with Vince Grella. But Brazil will make a change. John,
interesting. Gaviao, yes, he is a central defender, and he was part of the team which won the Under-17 World Cup in Egypt. But Grella going off, let's hope he can come back on, because he's been one of the real stars of this series, Vince Grella. Operating out of midfield, that deep-lying position has just dictated everything that's happened. Good organiser, able to read the game well, fills in, and let's hope he can come back. But this is Gaviao.
It's Rodrigo to make way for him, central defender.
Well, that says a lot, doesn't it? You're changing a central defender. Gaviao plays for the Grêmio club.
Perhaps we don't want to read too much into it, but that may be where the coach Barroso places the blame for Australia's 2 goals.
But it does seem, it says a lot about Brazil's performance here, that you're down 2-0 and you're changing a central defender.
Singing happening in the crowd tonight from time to time. The Perth Glory supporters are here in numbers. Not cheering for the Glory on this occasion, but cheering for Australia. And had plenty to cheer about as well. Beza trying to get the cross in. It's another throw in for the Olyroos. Rizzo. Still got the cross in, this time to the near post, off the right foot. Clearance bounced over the head of Jason Culina, thanks to the hardness of the cricket pitch, I think. Luis Claudio forward. Labert got there first. Labert still going. Great work from the Brisbane Strikers defender. Little ball inside to Jason Culina. Blatsis was down for a moment there as well, but Grella came back, just muscled his opponent off the ball, and Jason Culina spreads it beautifully to the left with Rizzo. So through the centre. Switches now to Emerton. Luis Claudio got there first. Great little header inside from him. Labert, big night for him really. Former Wollongong Wolves player, moved up to Brisbane this year, got an extended run in Frank Farina's side and has made the most of it. Now selected for the Olyroos as Zane turns away. Culina. Just about got there. Culina makes the most of it, winning it back, given away. Culina again involved. Zane now wide on the right-hand side. More good work from Australia. Emerton's made his way into the penalty area. Fabio comes out. So working back. There's just no breathing space for Brazil. Australia are just too hungry. Blatsis first to the ball. Inside. Matuzalem onto the left foot, good effort. First one of the game, coming from their best player in the series so far, Matuzalem.
And says a lot, doesn't it? That's 33 minutes for their first strike on goal, but that was better stuff from Brazil. I think we're all sitting here hoping, oh, come on Brazil, let's show us what you're renowned for. They've done very little of it in the series. And that is not taking anything away from what's been a splendid Australian performance, but Brazil have been very disappointing. We've hardly seen anything of their traditional game, let alone the jogo bonito, the beautiful game, as they love to say. Well, they've shown us very little of the beautiful game. Probably the last 15 minutes in Adelaide, spasms in Sydney, but only one team on the park at this stage of the match. 34 minutes in is Australia.
Superb work from the Olyroos tonight. Grella spraying it wide to Rizzo on the left. He whips in the cross. Good ball. Fabio had the ball taken off his hands by the defender. Beza, Rizzo. Zane, back to Rizzo. More impressive work from Australia. Still Rizzo pulling it back. Dare we call him the Steve McManaman of the Olyroos side?
Tempted to, aren't you? And with good reason, one would think. The understudy to him, or more than the understudy now, but when he first went, of course.
Culina, corner to the near post.
The understudy to McManaman, so much like him in so many things that he does. And the potential to be better than McManaman.
Rizzo out to Culina. Little chip in from him. Plenty of yellow shirts in there, over the bar. Big Con Blatsis from South Melbourne. So tall, very difficult to beat in the air. It's a terrible goal kick, straight to Emerton of all people.
I mean, one of the reasons it's difficult to play against Brazil at any level is that they keep the ball for such long periods, even when they're playing badly. But this team is not keeping the ball. Australia has it. They did in Adelaide. I don't know the stats in Sydney. It would have been pretty close. And I would think on the first half, Australia have had the ball a lot longer than Brazil.
It's free down the left. Labor first to the ball, as Australia have been all night. Goes back to Bove. Grella under pressure. A man right behind him. Vince Grella, number 15, Rocha. Has something to say for himself as well after he'd fouled Grella. Beza inside to his South Melbourne teammate Curcija. Little ball through to Zane. Is this a hat-trick? Well, the flag was up, but that is not to deny such a marvellous move there for the Olyroos. Curcija the awareness, little clip over the top, and Zane's first time shot was over the bar anyway. Full international match that was played here was back in 1995 when Australia were beaten by a goal to nil by Ghana. Brazil and Ghana have played so many finals against each other in youth football over the years. There's a certain similarity of the way they play. Rizzo. Zane. Rizzo again. Sharp work. Emerton, fine switch of play there by Rizzo. Emerton tempted to take his man on. Culina, so confident on the ball. Beza. Down the line, Rizzo, he's free if he can get there, but he can't. Again, the build-up from the Olyroos was very easy on the eye indeed. Rizzo, who started the game a little slowly, getting more involved now. There's less than 7 minutes to go before half-time. In attack for Brazil, a corner. Eugene, Matuzalem, good ball in, danger here for Australia, chance for Brazil. Marvellous volley there from the Brazilian substitute. Gavião struck it superbly, but it hit the back of his opposite number, the number 14 for the Olyroos, Steve Labert. Even when they do have a moment in front of goal, it's not going in for them. Matuzalem. Oh, free header off the line. Fantastic stop that by Milosevic. Well, Luis Claudio can't believe it. And Australia, if they have been taking a few things for granted, have been wrapped across the knuckles by Brazil in the last couple of minutes or so. Great cross by Matuzalem. Labert, this is the first one. The volley was just blocked by body of Labert. And the second one here, fantastic save there by Milosevic. Grella off the line. Australia survive and keep their goal intact, but only just. Oh, loose ball, mistake by Bove, chance for Brazil, they do. Milosevic again. Well, Australia almost shot themselves in the foot there with that mistake by Bove. And they should be reminded there's still 5 minutes to go before half-time. Overconfidence with a 2-0 lead should not be tolerated at all, and I'm sure Raul Blanco will reiterate that point at half-time. Just on 4 minutes remaining in the half. Brazil, we have to say, unlucky not to have scored a goal in the last minute or two.
A great save, Milosevic, the last one especially. Low, and the good flick from Adu. But I never thought I'd see the day, Paul. I'm sitting here wanting Brazil to score against Australia to make a game of it. The series is already over. And Australia have been dominant in so many respects. That's a save there from Danny, great save. To put a bit of life into this match, because so far it's just been all so much one-way traffic Australia's way.
Emerton.
Sharper, winning everything, just outplaying Brazil in every department.
But so willing to run at his opponent. Emerton switching wings for the moment. Back to Beza. Labour forward. There's a Brazilian player down. Australia carrying on. Emerton inside. But it's a Curcija. It's a man free on the right-hand side, but that's a free kick. Right in the centre of the goal. Yes. And a yellow card to the captain, Fedegem. Couldn't get any worse for him.
Talking about Australia out Brazil, that's the type of thing that we normally see from Brazil. Michael Curcija, a beautiful dummy on the edge of the box, draws the foul. It is a yellow card. And another example of Australia just doing so well in this series. Individually, their technique, tactically, not just for the individuals, but collectively.
The match has been held up for the moment, so Brazil can treat the injured man.
There's a lot of comment, too, Paul, around about Brazil are favourites for the Sydney 2000 Olympics. I mean, that is absolutely wrong. First, they've still got to qualify for the Olympics. And secondly, out of South America, there are only 2 qualify. And Argentina at this level have had the wood on Brazil. So Argentina would be the favourites out of South America. Brazil still have to get there and have to the likes of Uruguay and Colombia and Chile and so on and so on. So they're anything but favourites for Sydney 2000.
Argentina, the current holders, of course, of the Olympic gold medal. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
They beat them in the front, yeah.
Nigeria, Argentina beaten, but Argentina, of course, at under 20 level, where they did Brazil in on the way to do that. Argentina played Nigeria in the final at the Olympics. Nigeria winning after beating Brazil in the semi-final. Brazil leading 3-1 with 17 to go and losing 4-3. And we thought Iran was bad.
Doesn't make us feel any better letting us know that it's happened to someone else, though. But Australia really now trying to put Brazil to the sword, looking for a 3rd goal before half-time. A great camera angle there. You can see exactly what Australia have to do. Grella curling it. Vince Grella, the effervescent midfielder from Carlton, well over the bar there. It was dipping quite quickly, but not quickly enough.
That was a poor old wall. Speaking of defence, there were gaps both sides. Grella a little angry with himself because of those huge gaps there. He felt he should have done better, but he's had a fabulous series, Vince Grella. Just that midfield ace, doing the type of things that I expected from Ferrugem, the captain, the number 5 for Brazil. And in those 2 roles, Grella has been by far the most impressive performer.
On. Brazil forward, away by Blatsis. Corner for the South American side. Is there something that they can take in with them at half-time? They've had the better of the last 10 minutes or so here. Milosevic kept very busy. Matuzalem with the corner with that left foot. Such good punch. Convincing work by Danny Milosevic. Playing in Germany with Munster. Awkward for Beza. He didn't rush though, he took his time perfectly in a measured ball to Culina. Curcija stays onside. Here's Culina again. Oh, that's great work. Culina going through, makes things happen, doesn't he? He's just so lively.
Had a top game. He was impressive coming on the other night in Adelaide, the last period of play, where immediately involved. And again, the type of self-confidence that these boys are showing, Culina epitomising that there, putting his foot on the ball, playing the wall pass to break down Brazil and draw the foul.
Here's again. No free kick that time. Was there from... Well, the free kick's been given Australia's way, has it? For diving. Blatsis. Bove just letting the ball get away from him. Dangerous here, but he got it just in front of Luis Claudio. Beza tripped. A little edge creeping into the game once again between these two sides. And a yellow card is handed out, this time to Edu. That's 4 for Brazil in this first half. So far, none to Australia. There were mutterings in the Brazilian camp about the refereeing on Tuesday night, but I would think there would be no more honest country you could come and visit with our referees. But the hints that were coming from the camp were that the hometown refereeing decisions were coming out.
Yeah, no, look, we've been very sympathetic. The jet lag in game 1, the talk of the refereeing in game 2, but quite simply, and it's emerging in this game, is that the simple fact is that this Australian team is a much better side than this Brazilian team. That's the facts. It's not jet lag and referees or anything else. We've learned before to not talk too early. We're talking about the whole series and what we've seen in terms of style of play, of creative play, of opportunities and everything else. And Australia is very much well ahead on points.
There's Scheinfang there, keen to get in to the changing rooms. Understandably, we've had 4.5 minutes of time added on by the referee, Brett Hugo. Beza. Flag goes up. Culina. She keeps it in, only just. Support at the back from Culina, but he goes forward to Rizzo. Still Rizzo running at the defence, teasing them. Finding the head of Clayton, Zane, but the big man couldn't direct that one towards goal. He's already got 2 on the board before half-time. He's got a full half a game to clinch the hat-trick. What is going on in the defence? Zane there almost stole the ball off the defenders. Australia, the latest possession statistics tell the story of the first half. 62% to the Olyroos, 38 to the Brazilians. Beza. Rizzo can't keep it in. Well, we've had 6 minutes of injury time in this first half. That's quite amazing. still the half goes on. I wonder the Australian bench are wondering why the whistle hasn't been blown. Matuzalem, the natural left foot, assisting this free kick from Brazil. Plenty of big men in for them. Luis Claudio, Eugene the captain. Ball to the back post. Milosevic is there, making a very awkward cross look quite elementary. Half-time finally, and another performance of polish and style by the Olyroos, convincing leaders against Brazil. Clayton Zane is the man of the moment with 2 goals in the first half. The first, a very simple tap-in. The second, quite the opposite. He just blasted it past Fabio in goal for Brazil. So many promising things from this Olyroos side based on this first half. Vince Grella headed a Brazilian effort off the goal line in a little flurry of 2 or 3 minutes where Danny Milosevic made some quite outstanding saves. But the possession factor over 62% for Australia, convincingly outplaying the South Americans here at the WACA. Australia 2, Brazil 0. We'll be back with more just after this short break.
And welcome back as we continue our coverage of Australia versus Brazil, match 3 in the Olyroos Challenge, and at half-time the score is 2-0 to Australia. We are nearing the start of our traditional flurry of football specials here on SBS, and we can again promise you full live coverage of the FA Cup final, the 3 European Cup finals and the Ericsson Cup Grand Final. And then the big one, of course, the World Cup, beginning June 10. But let's get back to Perth, boys, and a terrific first half, lot of action, lot of thrills, and the fairy tale Andy continues for Australia.
Yeah, look, they're playing really, really well. It's great to see. In fact, most of what Johnny Warren has said, I reckon, has been pretty on the money. I mean, we're used to Brazil being flamboyant in terms of attack, but also having a very stingy defence, and that they've been all over the place at the back. But that's been aided and abetted, I feel, by some really constructive play by the Aussies. OK, let's roll some highlights from the first half. Nick, if you could join in on what your impressions were.
Well, I'd say that we're giving the Brazilians a taste of their own medicine. We're keeping the ball, as Paul and Johnny said. We kept the ball for 62% of the first half, and here we see another testing cross. And you know, I've had a question mark over this keeper from the first game, but
with the high ball,
certainly.
Well, that was the very first free kick a minute into the game, and the only problem, as we saw in this highlight, that Australia's got itself into was a couple of dodgy back passes. And whilst the Brazilians didn't come close on this occasion, a little bit more proficiency as far as their finishing was concerned, and we could have been in a little trouble. But Jason Culina, for mine, in these early stages and then towards the latter stage of the first half, his passing is immaculate. His vision has been almost prophetic-like. And his passing's reminding me, Les, of Paul Ocon in a lot of instances. Yeah. The weight and the touch is just beautiful.
His balance as well. He seems to be very well balanced on left and right.
Turn on a sixpence. Yeah.
Indeed. Here we see Brett Emerton breaking clear on the right, and Clayton Zane making it 1-0 after 14 minutes.
As Johnny said, we didn't know whether Emerton meant to shoot or to cross, but it was a fine move nonetheless.
Yeah, and it started, in fact, this goal and the second goal, which will come up later in the package, started from defending from the Brazilians, which was more akin to a travelling circus than the Brazilian national side. And we finished them off quite nicely. Shot or cross doesn't really matter. Clayton Zane was right on the button to finish it off, as with the second goal. But it's quite amazing to see that any Brazilian side defend the way they are.
They're not very well.
Yes.
Here we see Jason Culina breaking the first line of defence, finding a pass Michael Curcija, and there's some variation there. We saw some early on balls into the box were in the air, and just there we saw Curcija go low and hard across the box. Some neat passing there, early balls, and good. Jason Culina once again darting into the box.
Good one-touch stuff.
They've been very exciting, actually. As I said earlier, they've really shown the Brazilians how to play soccer, which is something that if someone asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, I obviously would have said we've got a good side, an exciting side, but we're still feeling our way. I think it's been a good test to see where we really are. And there we see Gustavo make another error.
Well, I'm expecting Gustavo to come out with his unicycle and his juggles in the second half, because that's just calamitous defending.
Terrible.
I mean, he couldn't get a better assist from Brett Emerton if he tried, and they were targeting Emerton on that long ball, and obviously Brazil, and quite understandably so, were very wary of Emerton wide on the right, and possibly in the second half I'd be looking for the Australians to get Emerton more of the ball, and certainly for Brett to be trying to expose them to a greater extent down that right-hand side, because he could cut them to pieces.
Well, they've got 4 players on yellow cards, so I think that Rel might be singling these players out and obviously instructing players like Jason Culina, Nick Rizzo and Brett Emerton to run at these players. Here we see the Australian defence holding up. They had 2 or 3 corners there in a space of 2 minutes.
Bit of resurgence there.
And a header, great save from Milosevic, who basically pulled off 2 good saves in a matter of a minute. And it's very important to have good goalkeepers, especially 5 minutes before half-time. And we all know that a 2-1 scoreline is very different to 2-0 at half-time.
This was the second a piece of defending that got us into a little bit of trouble. And again, Milosevic, who was the captain of the under-20 side in Malaysia, showing why, in fact, he held that office. A couple of great saves from Danny, who's an excellent custodian.
All right, there are the stats, Andy. 62% to Australia. That's almost an outrage in Brazil's, from Brazil's point of view. Just 38% of possession, and I think that resurgence late in the game, late in the half, has given Brazil 7 shots as opposed to Australia's 8, and in fact more corners than Australia. Well, let's see whether there is some reaction from the sidelines. Let's go over to the WACA now and to Carle Patterson.
Well, as Les, it's actually Mike Olyroos, but we spoke about the frustration on the Brazilian bench during the course of that match. One man who's also frustrated, but he's on the winning side, is Simon Colosimo. And Simon, would you agree that perhaps is the best performance by the Olyroos so far in the series?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think it probably is the best performance we've had in the series.
And what about yourself? Are you surprised as to the way the Brazilians are playing?
No, not really. I think the Brazilians are surprised about the way we're playing. I think they're pretty stunned at how good we really are.
What do you think Raphael will be saying at half-time? Keep it the way it's going?
Yeah, I think he will be saying that. He won't want to slow the game down and make it a defensive game. He'll want to go out and really let them know and probably get a couple more goals.
Yeah. And what about the performances? Who has impressed you so far?
I think Jason Culina's probably been one of the better players for us, and Nick Rizzo. Brett Emerton's put in another good performance, and I think the whole team's probably played a big part in the 2-0 lead at half-time.
And no defence there by Brazil. That's really been the surprising thing, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Brazilians are always renowned for their attacking flair and everything, but they always have got, you know, a good defence, and they've been pretty disappointing in this series.
What about you, Simon? You're suspended, obviously. Frustrating for you on the sideline?
Yeah, it is. I think I would have enjoyed playing tonight. It seems to be really enjoyable for the lads, you know, 2-0 up at half-time, and hopefully they can do even better in the second half.
Let's hope so. Well, the scoreline here at half-time is 2-0. Maybe 2 more, Les.
Yes, indeed, Michael, and my apologies. I didn't mean to insult you by calling you Carle Patterson. I'll make up for that on Monday. What say you guys then for the second half? Because the Australians are happy at the moment, but Andy, I would say the Brazilians might feel some signs of encouragement given the way things went in that last 5 or 10 minutes of the half. Yeah,
like we said, they had a couple of flurries, and look, it reminds us a lot of November 29, 97 when we gave Iran a bath, and thankfully there's no place riding on the outcome of this game. Hopefully the Australians will relax and just keep demolishing this Brazilian side. But I'd like to hit on what Simon Colosimo said in an interview, and I think it would be remiss of us to go on about the poor Brazilian standards and ignore just how good the Aussies have been, because I think, you know, that their technique and their execution has been superb.
Nick, what interests me and really impresses me about this Australian team is the degree of unity, the degree of cohesion that there appears to be in this team, and yet it's a team which is only together for the first time by and large. I mean, what do you put that down to?
Well, I think the basic skill that the players have, the fact that they want to achieve something in the year 2000, but more importantly, I think they're playing to instructions, and in the 2 camps that I know that Raul had, the emphasis was on quick ball movement, and we saw it in all the games to date, and even especially in the first half here in Perth, that the ball movement from side to side and the passing game was done to the nth degree, and I think Raul would be very pleased at half-time.
Andy, what did you think of the players that came in? We spoke at length about Jason Culina, the other, Stephen Labert, Tansel Beza.
Yes, well, Stevie's been tonight like he's been all season for us. He's been solid and very strong in the tackle, good in the air, and he's won the ball and passed the ball, and that's his job. Tansel's been going well. In fact, the only quiet one of the additions has probably been Michael Curcija. He's had a couple of little interactions with various players, but I'm sure Michael will be looking to get himself a bit more involved and take some of the things that are on offer for the players out there tonight, because really Clayton Zane's been going well and put his hand up for a couple of goals, and Michael would be sniffing around for a couple too. So I'd like to see possibly Michael get a little bit more involved, but the other three have been going really well.
Well, he had a marvellous chip there, which
unfortunately was offside.
Clayton Zane was, I think it was Clayton Zane who was offside. But the other great discovery, of course, of this series, we've talked about him before in the series, is Nick Rizzo, who was a little bit quieter today than in Adelaide or in Sydney. Maybe it was the pattern of the game, but still he's stamping his authority on that particular channel that he's playing on the left-hand side.
Yeah, he's very exciting. I've noticed a couple of times he's stayed upfield, and when they have broken from defence, the Australians, they have found him, and the balance on the left with Tansel Beza looks very good. So I think, again, Raul will be happy what's happening on the right-hand side with Jason Culina and Brett Emerton, as well as Tansel Beza and Nicky Rizzo on the left, with Vinny Grella sitting in the middle. The balance in the midfield is very good.
I think the players might be out on the park just quickly, Andy. Then you don't foresee any changes in tactics or anything for the Australians?
No, they'll just go for the jugular from here, hopefully, and finish them off. Possibly tighten up a couple of those defensive lapses and not let the Brazilians back into it.
Okay, thanks, guys. Let's look forward to another thrilling 45 minutes. Hopefully an Australian victory. Let's go back to Paul Williams.
Thanks, Les, and understandably Raul Blanco has not made any changes to the starting 11, but Toninho Barroso, his opposite coach tonight, has made one at half-time, and Pontes, the number 18, the 18-year-old from Juventud, has come on in place. I'm just trying to work out the player to come off. It was Luis Claudio, number 7, who has made way for Pontes. Brett Hugo checking the respective teams before starting the second half here. And more of the same is the order at half-time for the Olyroos, without a doubt. A very healthy crowd here at the WACA has thoroughly enjoyed the first half. Australia have already beaten Brazil here in Perth. In 1992, a Richie Alligates goal gave them a 1-0 win in the Under-20 SBS Youth Series. That was the first game in the series. I think from memory, John, it was Fremantle Oval.
Yes, it was about 14,000 there that night. Brazil did only arrive before kick-off that time, but Australia beat them. That was a great series. It ended up going down to the last match out of 4 at Marconi Stadium, where it was a draw and Brazil won the series on penalties. That was the first international staged in Perth in 20 years. Since then, of course, they've had the Ghana one, and they have this one here tonight.
Emerton, can he keep it in? He does, but only just. No. The flag went up. He appeared to get to the ball, but just couldn't quite control the ball inside the white line. Now, the pitch here is very firm indeed. Hardly any grass on it. The ball moves very quickly all across the surface. Clayton Zane's side, the Newcastle Breakers, drew 0-0 with the Melbourne Knights on Friday night. News tonight that Marconi have beaten Adelaide City 2-0. Cup action continuing this weekend. Culina takes a backhander in the face, but Brazil go forward, but he's offside. Marco Antonio. Jason Culina. Look here Clearly offside. Marco Antonio down the left-hand side. He's got 2 goals in the series so far, along with Michael Curcija. Clayton Zane with 3, after a couple in the first half here and 1 on Tuesday. Beza, some Australian man down. It's like Ralph Bove from here. Brazil have the ball and they'll knock the ball sportingly out. And in the meantime, we'll cross down to Mike Tomalaris.
Half-time news, and Raul telling his troops to carry on with the way they've been performing in the first half, but he's also asking for Steve Labert to push forward. Of course, Steve being the stopper, asking him to push forward a lot more, helping out in the middle, and of course in turn the midfield will help out the strikers and perhaps put away some more goals. But Raul also encouraging his players to stretch the ball wide, use as much of the park as possible, and all in all just vary the play as much as possible. In summary, just basically to keep with that winning formula, because that's exactly what the Olyroos have got right now.
Thanks, Mike. Ralph Bove in trouble. Blanco, Les Scheinflug not tempted to make any changes at half-time, understandably, but Vince Grella just getting the instructions from the bench in the meantime for Bove going off, and someone will slot into the sweeper position, probably Vince Grella. Ball returned appropriately to Brazil. And the one-man advantage, of course, at least for the moment, while Bove gets treatment. Flag goes up for offside again against Marco Antonio. Fernando Santos forward from the back, little ball over the top to no one in particular. So flicking it on, hoping that Curcija will get there, but defender just holding him off nicely. Last defender now is Gaviao, forward to Fedegem. Ball over the top again, running through to Milosevic, but Emerton takes over and just clears the ball away. Bove back on deck as well in defence. Gaviao. Getting the ball away, the ball inside to Pontes. Still Brazil searching for that rhythm, searching for that fluency. Pontes. Ferrugia. Matuzalem forward. Plenty of yellow shirts behind the ball. No way through at this stage for Brazil. And not with mistakes like that either. Beza across. That's been kept in somehow. And that's a push in the back by Stevie Labert. Brazil get going quickly. Good little spell of this for Brazil, keeping possession nicely. Matuzalem onto the left foot. Ferrugia. Probing, patiently waiting. Marco Antonio. Timely tackle there by Labert. Australia come away down the right-hand side. They've got men free here. One of them is Emerton. Through the centre, that's a marvellous ball from Emerton to Clayton Zane. Still Zane. And it's a free kick to Australia for the foul on Zane. Rizzo with the free kick, whipping it in, away by Federgem. Australia will feel that the ball is back up at the right end of the park after a little spell of pressure from Brazil. Zane coming short. Emerton through straight to a Brazilian. Federgem lost out. Zane, little ball across. Curcija. Again, a chance created for Australia because of a mistake by Brazil. It's crossed down to Mike Olyroos once again.
Well, the Olyroos are warming up a couple of players. One of them I know will be on within a matter of seconds, and that's Dragi Nastevski. So Raul Blanco keen to make some changes and perhaps experiment even more during the course of the second half.
Yeah, well, the other factor that comes in there is 3 games in 7 days is a big ask for players, and no doubt to freshen it up at this stage would be, one feels, in Australia's interest. It's not only the physical side of things, it's the psychological side. I mean, the boys have, it's been a big build-up for this to play Brazil on 3 occasions. And to get the result in the first game, it is draining, and then in the second, and then have to try and do it again. So I would think the fresh legs and the fresh minds of a couple of subs would be in Australia's interest.
Blatsis for Australia. Culina. Emerton. Bove winning it in the air. Rizzo, the ball breaks for him. Out wide on the left is Clayton Zane. Touching it back to Rizzo. So willing to run at his man, but he ran into a wall there with that challenge by Rocha. Marco Antonio cutting inside. Emerton fouling him as he recovered. A clear foul there by Brett Emerton. Dragi Nastevski, of course, was hoping to get a start tonight in place of the injured Simon Colosimo, but Steve Labert got the nod ahead of him. Do into the wall. Shot coming from the sweeper, Gaviao. The crowd letting him know exactly what they thought of that effort. You look about those supporters, I would say they spend every second Sunday in the shed at Perth Oval supporting the Glory somehow. Grella with the free kick for the Olyroos. Still 2-0 the lead. Zane with both goals. We're almost 11 minutes into the second half. Curcija with the layoff. Bove. Beza clipped it down the line. Rizzo. He was held back there by Gaviao. So we've seen so many great free kicks from him on the left foot in this series. Here's another one whipped in. So close there. Steve Labert it was at the back. From the back rather, coming in for that one. It was just taken off his head by a touch from a Brazilian defender. Matuzalem. Great work from him with very little room to operate in, but he ruined it all by handing it straight to Grella. Grella working his way forward, just checking now to see where all the yellow shirts are. Here's one, Jason Culina, wriggling past a couple. Rizzo out wide. Beza is going outside him. The cross by Beza. Good ball as well. Just drilling it straight, Tansel Beza. Culina. Emerton. Still Emerton onto the left foot. Well, we heard at half-time that Brett Emerton is coming straight back to Sydney after the game, catching the midnight horror back to Sydney to possibly play for his club, UTS Olympic, in the Ericsson Cup tomorrow. The squad is disbanding almost immediately after the game. I'm sure all the boys that are on the bench tonight will get a call up for their clubs tomorrow. I know Simon Colosimo is required by Carlton. He's suspended, of course, so he's a totally fresh player. Antonio fouled. A chance now, perhaps, for Brazil from the set piece. Gustavo over the ball, the natural left-sided player. Here's Gustavo. Good shot! Milosevic once again. Outstanding save from the Olyroos goalkeeper. It was very sweetly hit by Gustavo, and Milosevic at full stretch.
Not only sweetly hit, it was going away, wasn't it? Danny's done well tonight, 4 or 5 occasions when he's been called on. He's been there, and not an easy series for him. He hasn't been busy, which is relatively easier for a goalkeeper. Once there's shots coming all over the place all the time, you are in the rhythm of things. When you get 1 or 2 a half, it's a different situation, but well done there. That was a difficult shot, Roberto Carlos style, going away. But it's Brazil's best chance to score at this stage, isn't it, Paul, from a dead ball situation, because they haven't got behind the Australian defence, except here.
Loose ball and a goal.
As we speak.
Did you have to say that?
Yeah, very well done, wasn't it? Always happens.
Well, casual marking has been punished in the Australian defence. Milosevic is frustrated because he's been in superb touch tonight and saved so many difficult chances. In the end, it was an easy goal, if you like.
Scored by number 17, Eugene. We score now the Olyroos 2,
Edu,
Brazil 1.
who came into the side, has got Brazil back in the game. Just what went wrong here? Well, it came off the body of Blatsis straight down to Edu. And he didn't need more of an opening than that to put Brazil back in the game. He just can't afford to make mistakes at the back, and Australia have had a rude awakening. The game is not over by a long shot yet. We've got just under half an hour left in the match. And you saw just how quickly the Brazilians went to the back of the net to pick up the ball to bring it back to halfway. They now have some hope, where perhaps before they didn't have any.
Well, let's hope in the process they can show us something, some of the traditional Brazilian things. And my point, as I put the hoax on Australia there, was that Brazil have not got behind the Australians once tonight, and that is a trademark thing about their game.
Black. Well, at Curcija. Good shot! Oh, Fabio with a fabulous save. Curcija trying to get Australia another 2-goal cushion. Sharp work from him. Great shot. Fabio at full stretch. And credit to the Brazilian keeper as well. Grella now for the Olyroos. spraying it wide to Emerton. He'll do well to keep it in, and he can't. Zane. Nice lay off that from Curcija, just slowing the game down perfectly, waiting now. And Culina perfectly waiting his pass to Clayton Zane, who's being out-muscled in the corner, but the big man's got through. Still Zane pulling it back. Great move, Australia. As if to remind Brazil just who is the dominant force on the park, after Brazil scored 2 chances in quick succession to Michael Curcija. Curcija. They do. Montes, a loose ball. Matuzalem was trying to backheel it to somebody. There was no one near him really. Curcija touching it on. Culina just couldn't take the ball with him. Gustavo forward. Brazil have the ball. The advantage is played. Fedorjan. Good work from Steve Labour once again, finding Curcija. Labour has done so well in this match, coming in really as the new boy in the team very much, and that ball's gone out.